Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot. And welcome to everyone who's coming in for the first time. We've had some new people, and I like to just really welcome you as you're coming in. We're going to do a refresh on the monthly energy today, and this is going to be kind of a general reading. It's not going to be specific to the soulmate cycle, but you definitely may see some soulmate messages coming in. And then we're going to do, I don't know if we're going to do it tomorrow, because I think tomorrow we're going to focus on what's coming in for the weekend and just kind of doing that reading that we like to do on Friday as we're rolling into the weekend, and then a little bit of an opportunity to kind of see how things look like they're coming out there. And then we'll take a look at the September refresh from a soulmate perspective. So for today, we're going to be looking at it just kind of in general, see what's happening and refresh that energy as we've seen the shifting take place. It's going to be a general reading for this overall collective, so it won't resonate with everybody, but and like I always say, it shouldn't. But if it does resonate with you, maybe take a look at some of the other readings that we've got out there, some of the other messages that have already come in, because these readings are all very much connected, and the messages are incredibly well connected to one another. So we'll go ahead and get started. We're looking at the energetic and emotional backdrop for the rest of the month of September, and just kind of, like I said, getting a refresh on that September energy and find out what you need to know about it. So first, it's just kind of that backdrop. What's the energy that everybody is operating in, swimming in, just kind of on a high level? Ooh, something that you're holding on to that needs to be released, an attachment that needs to be released, comes out pretty strongly in this. Curious to know what about it. So I get the sense that there's a greater awareness of it, and a desire to move toward it. The Ace of Scrolls in the reverse. So gotta be seeing that Ace of Scrolls. That's air energy. I don't think it came out in our moon reading yesterday. So we did the moon reading for the new moon that we're just about to have. So the energy that we're having around that new moon was kind of showing us that, there was a desire, that growing desire. I guess you'll see it peak tomorrow at the date of the new moon, but we will have started feeling it several days ago, and it'll keep going for the next little while here. So it's that desire to want to make things right, but there's not a real need to be in a rush about making decisions. Definitely a decisions that need to be made, but not a reason to do so super quickly. So there's a truth that's being ignored here. That's one of the things that I see. And it's working in conjunction with maybe some tough lessons that are being learned around betrayal, around rejection and abandonment. I see that with the Five of Stones, but I also see that there's been some progress in those areas, but it has also created some additional, I guess, pain and triggering almost, that has caused this Ace of Scrolls to go into the reverse. So it's like, it's just a little too much to take, I guess. And you kind of got to do it in baby steps. So there's a resistance to moving forward. We see that in the honorable mention of the Five of Spirals. But really, it's just a truth that it's not something that's new. It's not something that you don't know. It's something that you need a little bit of a break from. And it is associated with this thing that needs to be released as far as an attachment. Also associated with the lessons that you've been learning around those abandonment, rejection, and betrayal sorts of lessons. So good progress there, but sometimes progress is something you need to relax afterwards. You need to be able to take a break. There is a sense of something that is going better, or there was, like I said, with this moon, there's this desire to make things right. With this Phoenix, though, I'm seeing that it's like the opportunity to make things right has been taken, and it's an accepted course of action, an accepted process going forward. There's something here that passes judgment. Healing is absolutely not done on some things that you probably wish they were, because it feels like it's taken a long time. And you have made significant, significant progress, but not all of the progress. And you'll see the edges of that as you look around. You'll start to see, well, here's the thing, that the edges of the attachment that I'm unable to get rid of, that sort of thing. You're in a great position to move toward releasing some of those attachments, though. I can see that. The right attitude is coming for you. You're coming with the right attitude. This Queen of Mirrors, though, is going to be the things that makes things... it's going to be the aspect of things that makes it a little bit more challenging for you. The good news is there are going to be things that you don't say out loud, and it's beneficial. So a couple days ago, and I can't remember which reading it was, but a couple days ago, there was a card that came out, and I said, ooh, you're going to not deliver a message. You're going to not press send on some email. You're going to not hit send on some text. There's going to be something where you choose not to deliver a message, and it is going to be significant. You're going to be so glad you did this. So I get a little bit of the sense of that with this reading, or with this this card, the Queen of Mirrors, which is water energy. But I also get the sense that it's fear that drives that, and it's a fear that you're going to, when you see it, you're going to say, hold on, I'm catching that thing by the tail and I'm fixing it. And that's what the Seven of Spirals is all about. It's also what this Five of Spirals is about. So it was an honorable mention last time because it was something about the struggle in general. But here it's like you're finding the struggle to be quite worth it, and you're ready to get in and do some challenges. With the Seven of Spirals, you feel like you could actually be successful with that. And that's while you're looking right in the eye of the codependency kind of element that wants to come out here, and you see it and you're like, I'm seeing this issue and I want to grab it and fix it. That is going to move you toward your healing. So there is some pretty significant healing energy that comes up for you here in the back half of the month of September. Looks really positive. Looks really positive and not even really painful. I mean, I can't stress enough how just beautiful this collective has been to watch. You know, you go in, even if you just go in and you see some of the comments that happen on social media, I'll put a snippet of a video out to give you some idea of, you know, just something that came out and I'm like, oh my gosh, listen to this part, you know. And it's not always about the topic at hand. It's something that I might have been off on some tangent, but it's something that I feel like even if you don't get to see this video, you got to see this little snippet. You got to see the direction things are going, you know. There's some of the comments that you guys make are uplifting. Like, you just... I feel so uplifted seeing these comments. And the thing is, that's just my perspective. How do you think it feels to other people when you guys make some comment that helps them through? Like, you guys are, in this collective, we can tell that you're not alone, because there are so many people saying these messages are resonating. These messages are resonating, and you've got an observation about it. You know, maybe it's beneficial to somebody else if you put that out there. And so far, I've just seen that done incredibly beautifully, incredibly diplomatically, and I just want to thank you for that. So we've got the Three of Scrolls here, which... this is the time. This is the time for that that beauty to start showing up. So we've got a lot of basically open pain that you're able to look at and think about. So in yesterday's reading, where we looked in this moon energy, one of the things we saw was this is a good time for you to look at the big picture and to make some assessments about it. It's a good time for you to get in and be able to be logical without having to and have it cross with your emotion in a productive way, rather than having it be in an unproductive way that sometimes gets you up in your head thinking about things a little bit unproductively, you know. So with this Three of Scrolls here, there's a lot of a tendency to be able to feel, to see the pain, to re-experience the pain almost, but to be able to put it almost under a microscope. And so you're still feeling things as they happen to you. And it doesn't have to be the pain of this ending or the pain around this situation with your person. It could be anything else, you know. You've got this tendency to grab things by the tail, and it's like, then once you get it, you're going to end up healing from it. You are not messing around once you grab it. So what just flew out of here at us? Well, you got stuff to solve. So we've got the Devil card. We've got the King of Spirals. And we've got the Ten of Stones. And not this one. So we have really solid energy with the Ten of Stones that makes it entirely possible to move through the Devil energy. So the Devil energy is not something new. This is something that you're already aware of. It is something that you are, it's on the back burner right now. You already know you need to work through it. You may have a little bit of an arrogant sort of, I'll be fine. I've worked through all the rest of this stuff. I'm going to work through that too. So it's true, but it is going to impact you a little bit differently. It is one of the reasons that it's not solved when it sits in that Four of Scrolls in the reverse category. Is because it's something that still triggers you into something that looks like codependence. It's something that makes you feel very, makes you kind of almost, you almost have no defense against it. It's the straight, okay, so I know this is not going to be a show that everybody watched, but there's a show called Deadwood, and you probably heard of it if you've seen it. The Calamity Jane character, as she meets and interacts with the owner of the gem. Okay, I'm not going to ruin it for you by saying these things if you intend to go watch it, but basically she is a very tough character who is able to handle herself and accommodate great many situations, but there's just something about this person that gets to her in a way that almost nothing else does, and it just breaks her down, and you can see her failing as she's trying to deal with this person. Okay, and so it's a very powerful scene where you first see it start to happen. And so what I'm saying is this is going to have an impact on you. It is still causing you to have this bit of a, I'm not saying you're having a breakdown, and I definitely don't think it's going to be anything quite as dramatic as what we saw on Deadwood, but and I just want to say that show is fabulous and totally not for everyone. So if you are offended by, I don't know, language issues, then maybe this isn't the show for you. But if you're into, a good drama with some fairly fascinating characters, it might be a good one for you. But this interaction between these two characters is really what I'm getting at. And so it's like a kryptonite. She has no real resistance to whatever it is that he does. And so there may be a sense of, I'm going to be fine as I walk into the situation. Oh, but then you end up feeling a little bit more triggered than you anticipated. So the good news is you've also got this Ten of Stones. And the Ten of Stones is saying, this is that stability that you think is going to get you through this. It may not get you all the way through this, but it does feel like it does a pretty good job for you there. Okay, so this is all in the emotional backdrop on the rest of this month. So you've got some things coming that you've made some very positive. You're walking the high road here. You just got to keep walking. I mean, honestly, it's a very positive picture here. Let's see what else you need to know about the rest of the month. I know a couple of you are buying new houses, moving to new places, or have, something significant, life-changing going on. One of you, possibly two by now, are in the process of moving to like a whole new place. One is a new country, one is a new state within the U.S., so but across the U.S. And if you're not from the U.S., one of the things I will say is that things are fairly regional. It's kind of like India, where it's such a big place that what's happening in the east of it versus what's happening in the west can be very different. North versus south can be very different. And so it's a different environment. If you move from one segment of this country to another segment of this country, you may have a fairly different experience depending on where you're coming from and where you go. So we've got some people that are making some significant shifts like that. And all I would say is just keep on doing what you're doing in that, considering every complicated step just as well as you're doing it. I get that it's a little bit overwhelming, but you're getting all of this. Here comes more productive, rich, beautiful lesson your way, but not necessarily the painful kind. Like there's going to be pain in there, but you're going to, it's just not going to hit you the same way. There is an ability to think through things, kind of like what we saw in that moon energy yesterday. If you were with me yesterday with the King of Swords, this has a similar kind of strong, logical ability to incorporate emotion, but not to fall to it. That sort of feeling. The Queen of Swords is, in some cases, quick. Sometimes when it's a little bit less balanced energy, the Queen of Swords energy can be quick to cut things out and make rash decisions. When it's more balanced, it's more allowing for transformation and making decisions decisively, but not doing so too quickly, which is what you feel with like that rash decision. This feels decisive but not rash, which matches really nicely with that moon feeling. And of course, that moon's happening right there at the middle of September. So I made a promise to look up the actual dates because I made a mistake yesterday when I was talking about toward the end of the reading. I caught all my mistakes, I think. I hope I did. Anyway, I went and I checked all the dates and I figured out, all right, so the Mercury retrograde officially ends today. Of course, there will be a little bit of, we'll be feeling it, the impacts of it for a little while after. It doesn't turn off like a switch. It's more kind of a gradual thing, but it ends and starts turning around, seeming like it's going the other way. And really, it's not turning around. It just is the way that the planets cross each other and the way their orbits cross. You have a very natural retrograde. It's on a regular, on a regular basis and everything, which in some cases we might feel like it's a little too regular. But anyway, so that ends today. Tomorrow is our new moon. So those energies are kind of crossing right now. And then, I bet we've been feeling them because they both fade in and out. And so I think that's part of what made me mess up all my dates yesterday. Or at least a couple of them. So we've got the Eight of Mirrors in the reverse. There is a return to something. We've seen this. You are making a return to a concept, not necessarily to a place or to a person. Return to a concept. We saw this starting to come out yesterday, and that, I kind of wondered if we might see it a little bit more. What are you returning to? You're going back to something that could be construed as a simpler way of looking at things or a simpler way of looking at your values. But it is because of a lesson that you have recently learned and a perspective that you've recently gained. We know we keep seeing that Hanged Man come out in the reverse in a lot of these readings here recently, saying, hey, there's more to learn. There's something else around this corner. And although that is completely acknowledged, I would also say that there is a new perspective that has come out here that you're still working through, still using. Okay, so with the Hierophant here, it's having heeded some kind of advice. Having heeded, I wouldn't say it's a warning, but there's an encouragement that is being given for you listened somewhere where it mattered. And you don't even realize how much that's going to benefit you. Like it feels like with this, it feels like a little bit that you kind of went forward on faith a little bit that the advice you were getting was correct. And you aren't seeing the benefit yet. You've made a decision that puts you in a direction that you haven't seen all the benefits of it yet, but you're going to be pleasantly, I don't know if surprised is the right word, pleasantly, maybe a little bit surprised, but definitely pleasantly reinforced. There's a period of quiet in here. And it may end up, so this is what I was waiting for. I kept thinking, September is supposed to be a quieter month. It's supposed to give us a break. It doesn't feel like it's been doing that. there is a little bit of a break in here. It also feels a little bit like the Six of Swords in the reverse. So it's Eight of Spirals. It's not the Six of Swords, but it has a little bit of that same feel where with the Six of Swords in reverse, you get to calm down and reflect on something a little bit. With the Eight of Spirals in reverse, it is kind of similar to that because all of a sudden the sky stops falling for a brief time where you're able to say, all right, I'm just going to kind of catch my breath. You set down some of the things that are bothering you. For a bit of time, the logic wins out and you're able to say, I'm just not going to focus on some things that have been frustrating me right now. I'm going to go ahead and set some of these things down. You may still be feeling like you don't have a choice in a situation, possibly if it's that soulmate situation, that feeling like you don't have a choice in love, but also feeling like maybe it's not a great time right now for you to move forward with certain things anyway, because you're working through some things. Definitely has that feeling of you working through some things that are probably best dealt with some distance from a lot of other, like you need a little bit of time to yourself. I guess that's what this feels like to me. It's okay that things are maybe taking a little bit of a break or moving a little bit more slowly, because that's required as long as it's for the right reasons. And in some cases it doesn't necessarily resonate properly. It doesn't resonate the way that you want for it to. You've got that Queen of Mirrors over there in the reverse that reminds you you're going to have a bit of a reaction to something that happens. But it's not necessarily the end of the world, because you're going to be able to see it and say, all right, here's something that I want to take. I want to take this and do something positive with it fairly immediately, solve this problem while it is here. You will have some opportunity to do that. And it's also, like I was saying in, I can't remember which reading it was. It might have been yesterday's reading, but what I was saying is basically, it might have been a couple days ago, you've got this social situation, and that's something that's been coming up for several days now. Social situation that's going to kind of help to make things a little bit better for you. It opens something up for you, and it's going to surprise you as to how much it opens something up for you. It's like the most beautiful Three of Mirrors, sort of. That's water energy, so it's like Three of Cups. And so sometimes you get third party energy out of that. Sometimes you get flow of emotion kind of energy out of that. What I'm getting here is a social, something that makes you happy, moves you toward happiness. And definitely we get the sense that you are getting moved toward happiness slowly but surely. And again, with this card, with the Hierophant up here, I think it's really, you probably don't realize yet quite the impact of the work that you've already done. You have the ability to decisively move towards something beautiful. Feels like you're, like if you do a new hobby and all of a sudden something clicks with you and you start to truly enjoy it even more than you realized. That I feel like is going to happen for a variety, or for several of you as we get into the second half of this month. We've got the Eight of Scrolls. Something is like you have some attachment needs to be released over here. This is the energy that's going to enable that, because this is all of a sudden you not doing the overthinking. I mentioned over here that this Queen of Swords was, it's logical, but it's not, it's logical, but it's not up in your head, kind of, you know, getting in your own way. See, I dropped a couple of cards, but they're face down. We do have information coming to you. So that's kind of, that's part of what's going to generate this feeling of triggering, this feeling of, and I brought up codependence earlier. And when I did, it was almost jarring to me. But I feel like it's relevant. Maybe it's relevant to me, but it feels like it was relevant. The way that it comes out though, like you're going to see it and you'll almost have an ability to separate yourself from it and say, okay, I get this. I understand what this is. And we're just going to pluck that out. It's not something that I've healed from, but we've got this. The Moon in reverse, the High Priestess in reverse, basically both echoing that and saying that depending on, how open you are to the lessons, this could be incredibly revealing for you, not necessarily revealing of you. Like you're not revealing yourself to other people. This is something that reveals a lot of answers for you. So let's see what you can do to best utilize this energy, because it seems like you got a lot of softball coming your way. You know, lessons that still give you a lot of bang for your buck, not a lot of hard work or heavy duty negative emotion. Okay, be careful what you ask for. That's one of the messages that wants to come up for you there. Be careful what you ask for, and you're a little bit farther along than you realize in some places. So you're going to find something that you're not healed with over here, and it might knock you off your game a little bit, make you feel a little bit less like you're as together as you are. But you're going to discover that you are a little bit farther along. Now, it may actually turn you into the runner for a little bit. So, in a lot of cases, many of you are in a soulmate situation where you have a runner chaser dynamic, and you have been in the situation of your person that you've been dealing with has been the runner. Whether you've been chasing him or not is a whole different story. Whole lot of you are not doing any chasing. However, this has you feeling like a runner in a situation. You're going to get a little bit of a taste of what that feels like. One of you asked the question, or actually I get the question pretty frequently, is it possible that I could turn into the runner after this? Or is that something that could happen? Absolutely it can, and it looks like it will. It may not be with this person that you frequently have been dealing with if you're in that soulmate situation. I feel like this applies to pretty much everybody, that you're going to be in a situation that you see something and you say, oh, I'm feeling triggered right now. And you take off, and they're like, no, you come back now. And you have to, you really have to think through how you're going to handle that. So make your decisions for the right reasons. Don't pull that that stunt with the Knight of Swords in the reverse that runs away and doesn't even take the time to think about what might be chasing him. With the Five of Scrolls here, that is the energy of not necessarily using your... It's kind of a flight response, the way that it's coming across. Again, don't run away from things or don't move away from things, but make sure that you're thinking things through and allowing yourself to utilize that ability to be logical without being up in your head, because that's really what unlocks things for you here at the end of September. For the Knight of Spirals, we've got the Corsair, the Knight of Spirals, but it's in reverse. This is your tendency to kind of go back and forth. So when something does end up triggering you a little bit and you get that tendency to want to run, this is you going back and forth and kind of correcting yourself. It may look very similar to in and out behavior that you've seen before, but watch yourself, because you may be actually figuring some things out, and you may just go in and out once or twice and get it all figured out. So you may be finding a solution in there. And we saw that. We've seen that in multiple readings here, that you're not healed up for something, but you're going to find there's going to be some solution in there, and you're going to be able to move towards some healing. We saw in yesterday's reading that you're going to think you're not prepared for something, but that thing you're not prepared for is actually part of what's going to help you to do some healing and to learn the lesson. So the Acrobat, the Page of Stones, is all about learning that lesson. It's a similar energy to the Page of Pentacles. It's the equivalent of the Page of Pentacles for this deck. And the Page of Pentacles is about learning. It's about being a student. In this case, it is definitely a strong sense of learning that lesson, but feeling like you just squeaked by, just barely learned the lesson. That's how a lot of them feel, honestly. And it takes a little bit of time to get up on that balance, but you're going to do it. You're going to end up in a much more balanced place, and that will also not take you as long as you might think. So, let's see here. I think I got all the cards up off the floor. I have had a day or two of dropping cards, maybe even more often than usual. So, Six of Scrolls. Six of Scrolls in the reverse says that you're going to want to make the best use of that time that. So, we've got the Eight of Spirals that comes out here in the reverse. And remember, that one felt to me like the Six of Scrolls, or the Six of Swords is what I said, but it's the same energy, same air energy. Here we're seeing it in the reverse because you're going to be incredibly aware of when you don't feel like you have the time to hear yourself think and things are moving too fast. There will be some time here in the end of September where you see some of the seas part and you end up with a little bit of time to yourself. Make sure that you take that time. And the Two of Stones is just suggesting to us that you're going to be able to balance things throughout your day to day while that's happening. So just another one of, hey, it's going to be fine. You're not going to be bored with this energy, but I don't get the sense that you're like going through it in some super negative way either. So that's positive. You have some opportunity for partnership. We keep seeing this one come up. Opportunity for partnership coming your way. Could be somebody new the way that this energy is coming out. And we also have the Dreamer, the Knight of Mirrors. What I get more out of this is the dream more than anything else. I know it's the Knight of Mirrors. That's Knight of Cups. I get the sense of like almost a shared dream with somebody. And a Two of Spirals being now you've got a crossroads because you guys figure out that you're both sharing this dream. Doesn't have to be a literal dream, although I guess I wouldn't rule that out. Definitely, we've had a lot of dream, a lot of fantasy energy that's been coming out lately. And I guess I wouldn't be surprised if that even becomes more powerful because it's a place that your person, if you're in the soulmate situation, has been putting a lot of their energy because it's become too intense to put it anywhere else. And like they've got to figure out how to take some of the pressure off. At least that's what came up in some of the recent videos. So let's get you an oracle card to think about how the rest of September is going to play out here. Okay, so we've got Protecting Treasure and we've got Stormfields. So it's the Stormfields card is kind of reflecting some of what we've already seen come out in this reading, where there's going to be some things for you to endure. You know, definitely going to be some things for you to endure, but I think you're going to do just fine with it. The thing to watch here is what's represented in this Protecting Treasure card. So make sure that you are allowing yourself to actually let go of what there is to let go of over here. Protecting treasure, holding on to something that maybe doesn't make sense to continue holding on to, maybe isn't good for you to continue holding on to. That's a significant thing. So just kind of, this is a reminder that you want to keep going with the prayer. Keep going with the meditation. Keep asking the questions that when the advice comes in and you are following it, this is going to benefit you far more than you probably realize. That's a really important message for the end of this month. It's around how much you're going to actually benefit from the good that you've already done, and just a recommendation to keep listening to the advice and keep doing it. So this is pretty promising energy, but it does look like, yeah, you're probably not going to be bored. I love that this foundation energy here is really going to be part of what gets you through. I think there's a lot of positivity in that, but it looks like there could be a fair amount of shifting and change that just kind of happens as you're coming in toward the end of the month. So I think we'll take a look at that outlook for the weekend tomorrow when we get into Friday. But then for the next day, when we get to Saturday, we're going to take a look at the month of September as it relates to soulmates. So we'll do this reading, and we saw a lot of soulmate messages coming out here in this reading. That one is going to be devoted to the soulmate situation. So we'll see what adds on or what we tack on to that when we get there. And so I look forward to seeing you there, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow where we take a look at how the weekend is shaping up.